All right, Christy Lee with Lockheed Martin. Welcome to Action 22, Making Action Happen. So tell me a little about yourself, what you do with Lockheed Martin, and tell me a little about what Lockheed Martin does for Colorado.
Sure. My name is Christy Lee, so I handle state and local government relations for Lockheed Martin Space. Our space company is headquartered here in Colorado, so our larger corporation is broken down into 4 different business areas. I handle the space division, which is the coolest division, obviously.
Obviously.
I mean, space, Mars, things,
right?
Cool things. So our space company is headquartered here in Jefferson County.
Okay.
I'm a native of Colorado and grew up in eastern Colorado, so Action 22 is a dear friend and knows the struggles. But yeah, so thanks for having me today.
How long have you been with Lockheed Martin?
Been with Lockheed 9 years. It'll be 10 at the end of this year.
Yeah. So what's your background in that you got into aerospace?
Lucked out.
Yeah?
Yeah. I worked at the state legislature for 7 years before working at Lockheed, doing nonpartisan policy work for legislative council. And then my current boss, Joe Rice, he's the director of government relations. He was a state legislator and my committee chair for years.
Okay.
So when he got the job over at Lockheed,
he
took
knew
me
who
with.
to call.
Yeah, he knew who to call.
Nice.
I gotcha.
So with that, I mean, we've been asking everybody really, what's something exciting going on, but Lockheed always has something exciting going on.
Yeah, so Lockheed Martin Space builds things that people use every day.
Okay.
We build GPS satellites. I know I use that every day. And we have actually had people, say, "Oh, why do we need satellites? My GPS on my phone works great."
Like, what do you think the S stands
for? Exactly. So GPS, and that's actually a military program. A lot of people also don't realize that. So the U.S. Space Force is our customer on that.
Okay.
And then, a number of different military communications, satellites, weather satellites, things we can't talk about.
Sure.
But on the civil space side, one of the big exciting programs we have is the Artemis mission for NASA.
Okay.
So that's the next manned mission to the moon to bring our astronauts back to the moon. We are building the capsule that'll be taking our astronauts to the moon, cool. And then that'll be on board of the Space Launch System, which is the rocket that Boeing is building that'll launch us to the moon. Our first uncrewed test flight of Artemis 1 is launching in March of this year.
Oh, wow.
So
right around the corner.
It's all happening, yeah.
Well, and how is maybe your job, or at least the mission of your department shifted with Space Force?
Yeah.
in every way? Was it a big change for you guys?
So there's a couple of issues. So there's the Space Force and then there's Space Command.
Okay.
And so Space Command has been a hot topic of, keeping it in Colorado. Should it stay in Colorado? Right. Since we're nationwide, we don't have a skin in that game. But so, I think it'll be brought up again. I think they'll reassess everything and we'll find out in the next few years, what's going on there. But for us, we're across the whole country. So, I think everything impacts us one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you that next part. Why is rural Colorado important to yourself and to Lockheed Martin? Obviously, you said you're a native, so you do have a little skin in that game.
Yeah, I had the same struggles I think a lot of kids in rural Colorado do. Lack of internship programs, lack of opportunities. I think, it's just you don't see aerospace every day, right? I mean, you're in rural Colorado. I think my first job was in a plastic factory for catering equipment, and then worked at the grocery store or whatever, so and so it's about 9 years ago, then Governor Hickenlooper had asked the aerospace community, we're very front range focused. All of the major companies are along the front range, and there's reasons for that, the military installations and those types of things. But he asked, how can we get the rest of the state more involved in aerospace? So through the Colorado Space Business Roundtable, we're on the board. We developed these aerospace road trips. Okay. So we brought prime contractors to communities all over the state, Western Slope, Eastern Plains. We do about 2 to 4 a year, where we bring out prime contractors, Ball, Lockheed, Boeing, Sierra Space, and we just talk to them, what does it mean to get into the supply chain? How do you get into the supply chain? Which is very onerous and time consuming. But what certifications do you need to work in aerospace? You know, there's a lot of small machine shops out there that could do business with aerospace. They just don't know how or don't have the right connections. So that's what these business development road trips were set to do. And then on our very first trip in Durango, we had a group of high school students come up with the same issues I had in high school. And they said, hey, you know, we also like aerospace and we would like to get more involved. Our parents don't work in, you know, aerospace companies and we don't have connections. Can you help us? So I developed a 2-week internship program for rural high school and college students that runs every summer about 9 years ago. And we scholarship them to come stay on the Front Range for 2 weeks. They get to visit all the various aerospace companies, spend a day with engineers. What does it mean? I think a lot of kids want to be involved in aerospace and work in aerospace, but they don't know what that means. You know, what is the difference between an electrical engineer and a mechanical engineer? So we try to get young engineers come in and talk to them. We show them really cool things and tours. And you know, that program has been running for 9 years. We've had just over 250 students go through it since it began. So that's near and dear to my heart. And I'm glad those students came up to us and asked. So,
and I mean, how do they get into that program? So I mean, just from this standpoint, how can they find out more about that program?
Yeah, so the Colorado Space Business Roundtable's website, coloradosbr.org, under the Programs tab is an application. So students just go and apply, and it goes directly to me. And since it's began, I have not had to turn anyone away just because schedules, time, you know, everyone.
It's worked out.
Yeah, so please spread the word. And I'll also add that this year, Lockheed Martin put $25,000 towards the program to expand it to teachers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll be doing a teacher program as well, so a teacher
academy.
As far
as how to teach the kids about these programs, or like teach them more about engineering stuff, or what's the program with the teachers?
Yeah, so it'll be similar to the student program, just what are we doing in aerospace in Colorado?
And they can come out and see like firsthand.
Yeah, tours and what are we looking for? What types of skills do we need and what programs are out there? You know, I think unless you just study the news all the time, I don't know where you get the information on space, right? So I think this will be a great opportunity for them to see it firsthand. Yeah.
Now, is there like a certain age range, or is it just high school? Is that?
For the teacher one, we'll go a little lower. I think we did 6 grade and up. Yeah. So this will be the pilot year. So first year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll have to have you back to explain to us how it went. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, I would love to.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm with probably the rest of the general public. I had no idea you guys did something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue too, is getting some of these kids who are attending rural high schools. I don't know if it's necessarily the opportunity is the right word, but like all the information they need to decide where they want to go to school, what they want to be doing.
Right.
Do you feel like there's kids that go there think they want to go into aerospace, and then they're just like, this isn't for me after seeing it up close?
So what I always say is I save a lot of parents a lot of money. Because
they find out.
Me, if I had an internship opportunity like that, I would have been like, yep, this is what I want to do. I'm done.
Right.
But, I've seen some students, they were dead set on being a mechanical engineer. And then they talked to one and they saw what they did every day and they're like, oh no, I meant systems engineer.
Right. But segregating like what the difference really is.
Yeah. And so I think showing them, and I also think, this program is really focused on rural students at all levels. We're not just top of the top. If you're straight A's, you can apply. It's every student, because I think, we've had students C's, D's, just not motivated. Right. And then, it's like, why would I do STEM? Like
that was me in high school.
Yeah, me too.
I was not a good student.
I have a story there too. So, science, technology, engineering, math, like why would I do those hard things when I live out here, and what's the point?
Right.
And then I bring them out and they see the Orion spacecraft and where the astronauts sit and, the components that go into that. And they're like, oh, wait, that's what that translates into. And then they get excited and motivated. And I've had the CD student turn around to A's and B's for the rest of their school just because they have, they have that motivation.
Yeah, I didn't have that. We'll compare notes later because I got some stories too about the education piece. And so at Lockheed Martin in general, what are some exciting things that we should look forward to this next year?
Yeah, so Artemis for sure is one. So that'll take our astronauts back to the moon, and it'll be the first woman to step foot on the moon. Oh, cool. So super exciting. That's in the next few years. And then one near and dear to my heart in Colorado is we partnered with the state last year on the Firehawk helicopter. So Colorado procured its first firefighting asset that it owns.
Okay.
And that is
sharing it, right?
No, it's the state of Colorado will own it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can be deployed anywhere in the state it can get anywhere in the state in under 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the Firehawk is a Sikorsky Black Hawk base. So, it's military proven, and it can fly in high winds and all the different things that a lot of current systems cannot do. But that's a Lockheed Martin Sikorsky helicopter. So we worked with the state on that. They'll get theirs next year. So really exciting, and especially after the Marshall Fire and everything that's happened. One benefit is this has a belly tank rather than a bucket.
Okay.
So you can fight fires easier over residential areas because you don't have to worry about something hanging for power lines and those types of things.
Yeah.
So really excited to partner with the state to solve a huge issue here.
Yeah, that's something that so many people, especially, like I said, with the Marshall Fire recently, but then just the last few years, I think just about every part of Colorado has been touched by fire-related stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. That's super exciting.
Yeah, really cool.
So here in Colorado, all the way to the moon, you guys are just doing it all, right?
Yeah. Mile closer to space is what we say,
Mile closer to space. I like that. Any last thoughts with anything else you want to share with us?
No, I just encourage any students and teachers to apply for those programs if you're interested in space. I really could use more from Eastern Colorado.
Okay.
I get a lot from the Western slope, but those Eastern kids got to get on it.
Yeah. Tell us the website one more time.
So go to coloradosbr.org, and there's a programs tab, and underneath that programs tab is the student application and the teacher application.
Wonderful. Cool. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll get you back here soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.